I'm super excited. Let's get the motivation going. Let's work together on working through a macro year 12 revision multiple choice. It doesn't matter whether you're OCR, Edexcel, AQA. These are all really good ways to practice your theory and really refine it. Catch those tricks. So the first question, I think, is a bit of a trick already. It talks about investment, and it's always a definition questions to watch out for. They it sounds easy, sounds like you know what investment is, but they often have a trick. So think really hard about what investment means before you look at the answers. So investment, you're looking at an increase in spending. You're looking at spending by firms, and you're looking to spend on capital goods. So actually, B looks like the answer. It's not a flow of money into savings because we're spending into capital, and it's not profit. It's spending money in capital. And it's not a stock, it's a flow, the amount of money that you spend into buying capital. Okay, rise in the exchange rate. Let's tackle this one at a time. So if the price of the pound increases, it's going to do two things. It's going to make exports more expensive for us and imports cheaper. So we would predict the quantity of imports to increase. And I've skipped some steps here, but M should increase and X should decrease. So rise in imports looks good, fall in exports looks good too, and the other ones look like they're wrong. There's also a rise in taxes. If you increase taxes, firms might expect that on household income, it's going to mean that consumption is going to fall. So maybe businesses expect that they're going to get less money coming into their company. So you would expect a fall in business investment. A large rise in interest rates is most likely going to lead to, if you increase interest rates, you're going to decrease AD. And if you decrease your AD, your economy is going to shrink, lower Y and also lower prices. So I'm not looking for an increase in growth, I'm looking for the opposite. No increase in investment, increase in unemployment, that could be the answer. This is bad. Unemployment could increase because there's been less output, less goods produced, so you need less people. Oops. So a shift of this to the right is caused by lower average cost of production. So we're looking for a raw material or something that's become cheaper. And oil is a raw material to make plastics, to transport goods. That's the answer. Government would be undertaking a contractionary fiscal policy. We're looking for increased taxation and decreased government spending. So if it reduced government expenditure, that looks good. That's what I said. Which of the following policies is most likely to lead to an increase in output and employment without increasing the rate of inflation? So we need more output and more employment. So we need something more than Y1, and we want the prices to be around the same. So expansionary fiscal policy, that might not be the answer because that will increase output. So your output will now be at Y2, but then your prices will probably increase. So I don't like the sound of that one. Expansionary monetary policy does the same thing. It shifts your AD, so that's for the same reason question marked. Supply side policies, they shift your AS curve to the right, and this is going to be really positive because I'm going to delete the other AD curve. Whoops, not that way. That means that your output was at Y1 and is now at Y2 here. That looks like to be the answer. Which of the following is likely to reduce inflationary pressures? To reduce inflation, you want to decrease prices, or at least try and stop the increase in prices. Increase in labor productivity, this looks like the answer. If you increase labor productivity, your long run AS shifts right. 1 long run AS2, and that's going to mean that your prices are going to fall from P1 to P2. So that was really convenient. That was kind of the first one there. Question 8, which of the following is most likely to occur in the boom phase of an economic cycle? So a boom is this above your potential kind of level of output. And in a boom, times are good, income is increasing, employment is increasing, firms are taking on more risks. So rising national income, that looks good. Falling unemployment looks good. And the negative output gap? No, a negative output gap means a recession. They're being sneaky with this one. Rising imports, yes, that could happen because people have more income. So because of more income, they spend more money, including on imports. Rising profits, firms make more profits as people are spending more. And a positive output gap. B is the answer. An increase in aggregate demand is most likely to cause inflation. Okay, so this is referring to probably on this full employment level of output level on the AS curve. That's going to create inflation. If you increase AD over here, it doesn't really cause much inflation. So we're looking for something close to full capacity or full potential or full employment, something like this. So that's the complete opposite. The other one doesn't look so relevant. Actual GDP above the productive potential. Yeah, the economy has been producing too much. It's above its productive potential, so it's gone beyond the full capacity. So that looks like the answer. Faster economic growth and a satisfactory balance of payments. Oh, this is a trade-off. The trade-off is if you grow more, you have higher incomes. And because people have higher incomes, they usually import more stuff. So you can't get best of both because you get higher economic growth, you make progress in that, and then you harm your current account because you import a lot. So it's talking about a trade-off by, I reckon, A is not the answer because it's talking about trade-offs between instruments, and here we're not talking about instruments, we're talking about objectives. So this is super sneaky. That's not the right answer. I don't think B is really related to this question. It doesn't talk about the balance of payments, so I'm not going for B. Conflict between objectives. Yeah, that's it. So I'm guessing a lot of people get caught out with that A because it sounds the same, aside from that last little thing. So we've got the AD curve, we've got the AD shifting to the right. That means either C, more I, more G, more X, or less M. So I'm looking for something like this. And we are looking at an increase. Okay, they haven't given it to us clearly. They haven't said C or I or G or anything like this. I know it's not an increase in imports. That's totally the wrong way around. Labor productivity is not on my list. Household savings, increase in savings could decrease consumption, which is the opposite. And an increase in the budget deficit. So to increase your budget deficit, which means G is greater than T, you either had increased G or reduced T. This is going to increase AD, and the decreased taxation is also going to increase consumption and therefore increase AD. So that looks like it's going to be the answer. Long run trend rate of growth. So this is if I have a boom and bust cycle, that's this bit here. The straight one, that shows kind of the average of how the economy has grown over time. And I'm looking for something like this, average over time, sustainable. That I think that fits best. A fall in the exchange rate. Right, so if the exchange rate price of the pound falls, prices of exports are going to decrease, prices of imports are going to increase, M should fall, X should increase, and I have skipped some steps there, that's for essay-based questions. And A is the wrong way around, B is still the wrong way around, they can't catch you once, catch you the second time. Reduce domestic demand. Okay, so this is going to increase X minus M, so it should actually increase AD, so that doesn't seem to be the answer. If you increase AD, how will you increase employment? Well, because your AD will shift from AD1 to AD2. And because of that, the output in your economy will grow from Y1 to Y2. And because there's been more output, there's been more people required. So there's going to be more employment. That's the answer. Actual and trend of an economy over time. Right, we have that boom and bust cycle I've been drawing throughout. If the government is using both fiscal and monetary policies to manage the economy. Oh, okay, so they're at X, they're heading into a recession. So I'm guessing that they want to prevent the recession from getting any worse. So the best way to do this probably in the short term is just to increase your AD. So I'm looking for something that increases your AD. So fiscal policies that increase your AD are things like government spending, less tax, monetary policies, lower interest rates, more quantitative easing. And let's see which matches up. Higher taxes doesn't seem likely. No. Lower taxes with lower interest rates. That's the one. That seems to be the answer. The economy is experiencing a balance of payments surplus on its current account. There's a few things in the current account, but one of them, I guess, means that exports are greater than imports. And there's high unemployment. Okay, I wonder what to do with that. Which policy is most likely to reduce the balance of payment surplus and unemployment? Tackling one at a time. To reduce the balance of payment surplus, you want to reduce your X or increase your imports. So I'm going to check to see kind of which policy fits for this. So a reduction in income tax. If you reduce income tax, people have more disposable income. And because of more disposable income, they're going to spend more money, including on imports. So that seems to work to reduce the current account surplus. So I like the sound of that, but let me check about the unemployment. How might it help to reduce unemployment? I think it's not really about the imports in this case, but I reckon it's because of the increased consumption. The increased consumption, I reckon, is going to mean an increase in AD, which will increase output, and because there's been more goods, you're going to have more employment. So my best guess is actually that sounds like a really good idea. The short-run aggregate supply curve is drawn on the assumption that, so that's your short-run AS. Some of you might draw a slightly curvy one. Price level, real GDP. So investment in the economy is constant. No. Prices of factors of production are constant. Yeah, that's why they shift. If the costs of the factors of production change, it shifts this to the left or the right. So that's the answer. We assume that's constant. So if it changes, that's what shifts it. So the conclusion is, whatever shifts the short run AS is what we assume is constant when we actually draw the curve. Oh, I have to zoom out for this one. Diagrams, we've got general fall in wage costs and a rise in the level of exports. Okay, so if wages fall, that is going to mean firms' average costs of production fall, which is going to help them supply more. So that short run AS, I'm going to say it's going to shift to the right. So I'm going to look for all of the ones that shift to the right. So I'm looking for, that could be an answer, this could be an answer. And a rise in the level of exports, more AD. And so I'm looking for an increase in AD. So that looks to be the answer. In the short run, an increase in the budget deficit is most likely to reduce. Increase in the budget deficit. Budget deficit means G is greater than T. If that increases, I better have had more G or less T. So this is most likely to reduce imports. Unemployment. I'm not going to try imports just in case it doesn't seem like that related. Oh yeah, yeah, B is the answer. So what's going to happen? If G increases, AD is going up. If T decreases, consumption is increasing and AD is increasing. So this means AD is going to increase. Because AD increases, your output increases from Y1 to Y2. The higher output has meant more goods are produced, and that's required people to produce it. That's going to reduce unemployment. Which of the following is most likely to reduce a balance of payments deficit? These questions are deficit, surplus, everywhere today. Right, so deficit is going to mean probably you import more than you export. We want to reduce that, so we want to reduce imports, increase exports. So an increase in the price level, that could make our goods more expensive. That will make our exports more expensive, so we will sell less. So I don't like the sound of that. Increasing consumption, we will spend more on imports, including, so that's the wrong way around. Increase in productivity, okay. If we have more productivity, that long run AS, I've drawn a classical one this time, is shifting to the right. And because of that, our prices fall, which could be a really good thing in this scenario, because if UK goods become cheaper, if the price of our exports become cheaper, we should sell more exports. So this actually sounds like it could be the answer, but let me double check. Increase in the money supply, that is maybe going to cause more consumption, and again maybe more imports, so I'm not going to say that's likely. Here we have GNP per head, and we want to calculate the percentage change in the GNP per head. So this for country X has increased by 20%. Remember a percentage change equation. You want to do your new value minus your old one divided by your old one times by 100. So be sure to do the 2009 minus 2005 divided by 2005 times by 100. And then for country Y, it's gone up by 10%. So GNP rose faster in country X than country Y. Oh, there is a trick here. I wonder if we spotted it. This is talking about GNP per head, so per capita, per person. Just to be clear, the equation of that, GNP per head, is going to be your GNP divided by your population. And here it's asking me about something different. Can you imagine? It's talking about GNP, total GNP. So I don't know what's happened to total GNP. I've only been given data on GNP per head. So A sounded tempting, but it's wrong. GNP was the same in country X and in country Y in 2005. No, all we know was 2005 was the base year. So I don't know what the data was in X or Y, but I know that everything is compared relative to that. GNP per head was in 2009 higher in country X than country Y. So for this one, again, I only know the GNP per head has increased by 20% in country X. I don't know what the original value was for country X or country Y, so I just know it's increased by 10 and 20%. I don't know which one's higher. And yeah, this is the answer. I should have just skipped to this one. Maybe that was increasing by 20% for country X and 10% for country Y. Yeah, that's the answer. If an economy is operating on its production possibility frontier, somewhere along here, don't know where, the most likely effect of an increase in output of capital goods. Maybe I should draw that. Capital goods, consumer goods. Right, so it's on the PPF and it hasn't told me there's any technology, so I know this is staying in the same place. And if I produce more capital goods, all I've done is I've moved from, just imagine, a point A to a point B. And that means that I better have sacrificed some consumer goods. So I wonder if they're talking about an opportunity costing. I don't know. Increase now but fall in the future. Well, the potential of the growth is in the same place. The PPF hasn't shifted. So it's not, and I'm not producing like any more total goods. I've sacrificed some consumer goods in the process. So I don't think output's increasing right now. Remain constant now, but increase in the future. So this could be the answer because, yeah, we're investing in more capital goods. And tomorrow it means it will have those machinery, those capital goods to actually use. So we should be able to shift the PPF later on. So because the PPF has shifted, that's going to increase our rate of growth in the future. A rise in the value of the pound. This is going to change the price of exports and change the price of imports. Exports are going to get more expensive. Imports are going to get cheaper. So it's really great stuff to remember. And this is going to decrease X and this is going to increase M. So I'm looking for something like that, but looking at A, it looks totally different. Public sector borrowing, I'm going to skip that for now. It looks very unrelated. Increases the rate of inflation. Okay, X minus M is falling. So that's going to decrease AD. If you decrease AD, you will end up probably with lower prices. So it's not increasing the rate of inflation. Interest rates are unlikely to increase because the economy is smaller. The economy shrinks if this happens and prices fall. So remember, the Bank of England is going to try and reduce interest rates to try and increase the AD and bring back the rate of inflation and bring back good economic performance. So I don't think that is going to be likely either. So the UK's current account deficit is going to increase. Yeah, because we're going to export less and import more. So that's that. Supply side policy can be used to increase. So usually you're looking at your long run AS shifting. Long run AS1 to long run AS2. And the only thing that shifts that is more factors of production or a higher quality of those factors of production. So interest rates is not really that. Government expenditure, it will increase if it's expensive, but it's not really the objective of supply side policy. And not really tax rates, but supply side policy, you can increase the mobility of labor. So you can, for example, invest in a train service, and that helps increase the geographical mobility. That seems to be the answer. Which of the following combinations is most likely to increase aggregate demand in the UK economy? I am looking for increased C, increased I, increased G, increased X, and decreased M. So government spending, I want this to increase. Taxation revenue, I want this, taxation revenue. If this falls, people have more disposable income, so they should spend more, and then that should increase AD. So I want taxation revenue to fall, because this way consumers are getting taxed less. Oh, they didn't make this easy. The exchange rate, well, I want to increase X and decrease M. So the way to do that is to make exports cheaper and imports more expensive. And did you know a depreciation, so a fall in the exchange rate, will do that? So the only one that lines up is B. Which of the following is most likely to cause a simultaneous shift to the right in both the short run and long run supply curves? So this shifts right if there are lower average costs of production, and this shifts right if there's more factors of production or a higher quality. So I need something that works with both. If there is more immigration, we have more factors of production, labor, and with more factors of production, if you kind of imagine what's happening to the labor market, there's a greater supply of labor from S1 to S2. That's going to cause wages to fall from W1 to W2. because wages have fallen, firms now have to pay the workers a little bit less. So that's going to reduce their cost of production, meaning that is the answer. So I hope this was really useful to you. Hope you are feeling really motivated, and hope you've also managed to not get caught by a couple of tricks, and you've learned a couple of new strategies to work your way through these multiple choice questions.